Hi, and welcome to the Holly C Podcast, a show about expressing your brilliance with ease and flow. I'll show you how to take the woo-woo out of the clouds and apply it to real life for effortless action. This show is for world changers and future world changers, so if you know there's more to life and you're wondering what's next, this is your show. Hi, I'm Holly, your host. I'm a speaker, author, teacher of health, wellness, vitality, and spirituality, and also a dragon spirit guide. In today's episode, we're going to talk about facing fear. How do you overcome fear? Because when you are embarking on the path of expressing your brilliance, following your soul's calling, guess what? There's going to be a lot of fear. You would think there would be no fear since you're following your heart's path, but that's exactly what's going to cause the fear. Because you're going to face new situations, new challenges. You're going to step out of your comfort zone. The thing about fear is that it never goes away. Because sometimes we think that we get to this level of quote-unquote enlightenment, and then there's no more fear. But the enlightenment is in knowing and accepting that there's going to be fear and not letting the fear stop you. I have a friend who has a son about the same age as mine, and a few weeks ago she invited me to go to a water park. Now you guys may not know that I'm actually terrified of heights. I'm afraid of things that go really fast and spinny things. And that's pretty much what a water park is. And by the way, I'm an introvert and I don't like too much crowd and noise. I could take that in small quantities. So the idea of going to a water park was, let's say, one of the least appealing things to me. But I knew my friend and her son really enjoyed things like that. So I found a compromise. I found a place that had water slides and swimming pools. So that way my son and I could go in the pool, because my son said he didn't really like slides. So I was like, okay, we'll go in the pools and my friend and her son can go on the water slides. Well, we went to the water park and I thought to myself, I'm going to at least go down one slide. That's my goal, to at least go down one slide. I made my way up the water tower. Part of my mind was thinking, what am I doing? I'm afraid of heights. The other part was thinking, what am I doing? I'm afraid of going fast. What am I doing? I'm afraid of twisty things, and look how curvy these slides are. So I asked this kid in line in front of me, which is the wimpiest slide? And he told me, in his opinion, which was the slowest slide. So I thought, okay, I'm going to go down that slide. And then when it was my turn, I went down that slide, and it turned out that that slide was the twistiest, curviest slide. It was pretty slow, but there were a lot of curves. And as I was going down the slide, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot that I don't like these curvy things. And then I went through another twisty curve, and I thought, oh, this is kind of freaking me out. And then because of the curving and the speed that I was picking up, it actually causes you to go up the side of the slide a bit, kind of like in the Olympics when you watch them doing the bobsled or the luge. And that was when I was really close to losing it because I felt a bit nauseous on one of those curves. But there were still more. It just kept going and going. And I remember thinking, though, that I need to get it together or it's going to get worse. So I'm going to pretend that I'm a person who actually enjoys this. And then the last 2 or 3 twists, things settled down. My stomach settled down and I didn't have that nauseous feeling anymore. And when I got off the slide, there was a part of me that was like, oh, that was actually kind of fun. I think I want to try another one. But I didn't want to do it right away. I did eventually go down the medium speed slide, and that was fun as well, but also slightly scary. My son, on the other hand, he loved the slides, and he wanted to go back to the water park the next week. So the next week, I was like, okay, let's go. And I'm going to go on the one slide that I didn't go on, the one that is super fast. Wasn't the scariest one, but at that sort of medium level, it was the fastest one. And I climbed up the tower, and I was thinking maybe I'm going to ease into it. I'm going to go on the medium slide first. But it just so happened that the fast one was available when it was my turn, and I thought, okay, I'm just going to go down it. I'm not thinking about it. I'm just going to get on that slide and go down. And it turns out that that slide was okay too. In fact, it was kind of fun too. It was more fun than the other slides. And I realized how much the fear was in my head. And then I decided to go down that first slide I went down that had made me feel nauseous, the one with all the twists and bends in it. And when I went down that slide, it felt fine. I didn't have that nauseous feeling anymore because I had let go of the fear. And it became very clear to me that the fear actually magnifies the bumpiness of the experience, like the physical sensation, like what actually happened to me as I was going down that slide, because I did feel out of control and I did feel nauseous, physically nauseous at one point. But when I faced my fear, let go of the fear, and just enjoyed going down the slide, I didn't have those physical sensations in my body anymore. So when you're afraid, it affects you physically, it affects your ability to manifest, it affects your life experience, and it's not just in your head, it actually affects you. It can magnify an experience and make it unpleasant. But if you go into it and you get comfortable with letting go of control, knowing you're going to come out at the end of the slide, you're going to be fine, maybe get a little bit of water up your nose, but it's going to be an exhilarating ride in spite of the fear, or maybe because of the fear, but you're going to be fine. You can't make the fear go away. It is going to come up, but don't let it stop you. And to help you face your fears, we're going to enter the dragon spirit space. So dragon spirit is not an entity or a spirit outside of yourself. Everybody has a dragon spirit within them, and what it is that voice within that craves adventure, exploration, and excitement. It's your connection with the universe. It's your connection to your heart and soul. And by quieting your mind, you can hear your dragon spirit. And the reason why you want to listen to it is because it has the most expansive answers to your deepest questions. And also your superficial ones too. So to enter the dragon spirit space, we're going to take 3 dragon breaths. And to do this, you will breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. And when you breathe out, if you feel like letting out a sigh or a sound like a ha, go ahead and do so. So let's begin. Place your hand on your heart. And I'm being directed by the universe to also ask you to place your hand on your belly. So when we enter the dragon spirit space, this is when I plug into the universe. It gives me guidance on what to say to help you quiet your mind, because that's all it takes for you to connect with your inner guidance, with your heart and soul, with the universe. So with your awareness on your heart and your awareness on your belly, let's begin the breathing. Breathe in through your nose, feeling your belly expand, and breathe out. Breathe in through your nose, expanding your chest and your belly, and breathe out. And again, in through your nose and out through your mouth. Relaxing your shoulders, relaxing your jaw, relaxing your hands now. No need to leave them on your heart or your belly, but if you want to, you can. And one more breath in through your nose, deep into your belly, and normal breath out through your nose. Fear causes tightening in your body. When you are afraid, your stomach clenches, your jaw clenches. When you're afraid of speaking, your throat clenches. When you are afraid of showing emotions, your throat also clenches. When you are afraid of seeing, your vision blurs. When you are afraid of hearing or listening, the ears are affected. When you are afraid of standing up for yourself, the flow through your spine is affected. When you are afraid of movement, moving forward, your feet, your ankles, your legs, your knees, those are affected. When you are afraid, you do not have support from loved ones you fear losing their support. Your hips are affected. When your mind is afraid, it stops you. It creates resistance. This is how your day-to-day life is affected by your fear. All of those nuisances that you encounter, from the smallest nuisance to the largest drama or trauma, it starts with a seed of fear. Breathe in through your nose and breathe out. It doesn't mean that shit doesn't happen in life. If you have no fear. Part of your life's experience is to experience fear, is to experience quote-unquote bad things. But it is how you navigate through this that matters the most. Breathe in through your nose. Breathe out. And it's much easier to navigate when fear is not overwhelming you. So the key is not to banish the fear. The key is to move forward in spite of the fear. Remember who you are, who you truly are at the soul level, irregardless of the fear. Breathe in through your nose and breathe out. So how do you not let fear cause your mind to create resistance? Well, you remove half of the equation, which is the not let fear. You focus on the part of the equation, which is mind creating resistance. Breathe in through your nose and breathe out. You see, when you shine a spotlight on the fear, you actually acknowledge what the fear is, then the mind can't go about creating resistance without a spotlight also shone upon it. So it becomes very transparent then when the mind is creating resistance, because you're like, oh, I'm afraid right now. I'm going to acknowledge that I have this fear. But guess what, mind? I'm okay with having this fear. And when you're okay with having the fear, then the mind is no longer as fearful. Because it's not just having the fear that causes the mind to put the brakes on things. It's the fear of having the fear that causes the mind to slam on the brakes, and that's what causes the vehicle to spin out of control. So think of it like driving a car, and let's make it an electric car. You have this instant torque. You can accelerate quickly. And when you need to stop, you ease off the pedal, and often there's regenerative braking, which starts to slow down the car. Or you could slam on the brakes as well, which is a lot more jarring. Or you can gradually apply the brakes. It all depends on the situation you're facing. When you're afraid, guess what? Things are going to just appear out of nowhere. So it'll be like debris on the highway, or a car running a red light in an intersection. And those are those times when you have to slam on the brakes pretty hard. But that's when you're not acknowledging the fear and becoming comfortable with the fear. That's when you're afraid to have the fear, and you're afraid of the fear. But when you accept that fear is part of your process, part of moving forward, part of expansion, part of growth, nothing to be afraid of, then it's like you have all the sensors on the car that alert you that there's a car in your blind spot, that there's a vehicle that has suddenly hit its brakes. And then the car, a lot of the instruments in the car will actually help you to safely slow down and maneuver around the obstacle. Breathe in through your nose and breathe out. So it's part you handling the vehicle, but it's partly the vehicle handling the vehicle. And the comparison to that is the universe, which is obviously vastly superior to the sensors in a car. Breathe in through your nose. Breathe out. But when you're afraid, and you're afraid of being afraid, you hyper-focus, you fixate on one thing. Just as if you were in a car trying to avoid something, you may fixate on that thing on the road, or you may get one thought and be stuck on that and not be aware of other things you can do other than slam on the brakes as quickly as possible. And in life, when you're fixated on something, when you're fixated on what you're afraid of, you're overriding the support that the universe can provide you. You're not able to see other than what you're fixated on. Breathe in through your nose and breathe out. And just like slamming on the brakes suddenly can override every single safety feature in the vehicle, the fear stops you so much it overrides every possible avenue of support that the universe provides to you. But all it takes is to let go of the fixation, to ease up on the brake just a little, to be comfortable that there is fear, to look at what that fear is, and then we are there to help. We as in the universe, we as in every single person that you know or have yet to meet that can help you on your path. And on that note, we're going to exit the dragon spirit space, but know that it is always there for you. You just need to quiet your mind and listen. So we'll exit the dragon spirit space with 3 dragon breaths. Place your hand on your heart and breathe in through your nose And breathe out. Ah. Now place your hand on your belly. Breathe in through your nose. And breathe out through your mouth. Ah. And again, in through your nose. And breathe out. Ah. Notice how you're feeling a little bit calmer now than before the Dragon Spirit meditation. This is like easing back on that brake. And you can feel how the ride is smoother. And when you're not stepping on the brake, you're going to get to where you want to go faster. So I'm getting a little direction from the universe to suggest to you that you might want to take a few minutes after this episode to journal. Write down a few of your fears and if there's one that really stands out, really take a look at it. Take a look at it emotionally, mentally, physically. Is it affecting your body when you read it to yourself? Notice where you're feeling it inside. And physically also look at it like in this real world. How real is this fear? Or what's the worst possible outcome? The thing that you fear the most, and how reasonable is it that this would actually happen? So let's take a deep breath again. Breathe in through your nose and breathe out. Because just the idea of writing down your fears, it creates fear. And especially if you believe in law of attraction, you're wondering, but if I'm focused on my fears, am I going to magnify them? And so you want to bury them under the rug. You'll magnify them if you allow the fear of having these fears take over. But if you are calm, you're calmer now. After listening to this meditation, you might want to listen to it one more time if you're feeling the fear creeping up. And then just write down these fears. And take a look at that one that stands out. There's going to be one that stands out. And after looking at that fear, write down a statement to counter that fear, to help you deal with that fear so that you don't feel overwhelmed by the fear. And I'm getting another direction from the universe that there will be a part 2 to this. I'm not sure when part 2 will be. The universe will give me guidance on that, but just know there's a part 2. Maybe it'll be in next week's podcast. I can't guarantee it, but we will see. And I can see how this is triggering fears in myself, this fear of the unknown and this uncertainty. But it's okay. I'm not going to let it overwhelm me, because now I'm getting a little bit of direction here to just actually illustrate how to look at a fear. So the things that I'm feeling are, I don't want to let down my listeners. I don't want you guys thinking, oh, she's copping out. She's saying part 2. She's not committing to when that's happening. That's just too weird. So there's, ego is afraid of you judging me. There's fear of, when is it going to be? Because my mind wants to know. I want to be able to, plan out the episodes. And when I look at, what's the worst case scenario? Am I going to lose listeners over this? Maybe. But is it so terrible? No. I'm still sitting here. I'm fine. And if anything, I may gain listeners because people want to hear part 2. So that's like a really quick example. But I forgot to create a statement to counter this fear that I don't know when part 2 is coming, and I'm afraid that people will judge me for not saying when it's going to be. And when you come up with a phrase, don't come at it from your mind. Just allow whatever comes up to come up. And for me, what came up was the phrase, "It's okay." And that might be your phrase too. If you can't think of one, use "It's okay." Everything's going to be okay. And on that note, I will bid you farewell, and I look forward to reconnecting with you again in another podcast episode, or perhaps the Dragon Spirit Circle, or in part 2 of whenever this happens about fear. And you can find every episode on my website at www.hollyc.com. And on my website, you can also sign up for my Dragon Spirit Weekly Wisdom newsletter, where I tune into the universe and receive guidance to share with you, a message from the universe to help guide and support you for the week. So once again, my website address is www.hollyc.com, HOLLYTSE.com. And I look forward to when we reconnect again. Bye for now.